All right, and welcome back to another episode of Carnivore Trade. Today is Friday, March 18th, 2022. So another squeeze on our hands today. Markets pushing up into the close, triple Q's up just under 2% here. I thought we'd get a little pullback today, maybe a pause candle, something of that nature. We had 3 bars up, 3 days in a row, 3 big power surges, but that just goes to show you how many shorts were really in the system here. And we've been talking about this for the last couple of weeks. Obviously, the put chain, heavily skewed on the put side. A lot of those had to get burned out, but a lot of them were already burned out by today. So a lot of this is short covering. So this is more futures market driven than it is options market at this point, for the most part here. So a lot of bears covering into the weekend here, and we look at the triple Qs. They're pushing this up into the 50-day moving average here. Spiders already got above the 50-day moving average, and they're closing in on that 200 very quickly. And if you look on the weekly, we are going to reclaim that 50-week moving average as well. So really strong move here, and this was kind of like the worst case scenario for the bears, really. So look at this weekly candle here on the spider. Look at the weekly candle there on the Qs. Into that 100 moving average, tested it again, and now clearing this red, not only this previous week, but this red bar high as well. So triple Qs look like they're poised to go up into that necktie, perhaps. Um, but again, this goes to the importance, and I told the members this in our video today. And I said, greed works both ways. People were getting greedy up here, and that's when we started going short. And the entire way down, we started taking shorts off at key areas. Here we actually picked up a couple of longs at this juncture, and then we were peeling back into the 200. And then we peeled back our last shorts down here, and it seems to me like a lot of these guys short. Maybe they got the highs. Maybe they did a good job, but you got to peel back risk, because this is what happens at the bottom. If you don't lock in gains, you don't hedge, you're leaving yourself exposed, and you're giving back all that hard-earned money, all that work that you just did, and all the research and time you put in. You're now not getting paid out for that. So you got to lock in gains. You got to manage your portfolio, and manage risk. But that said, huge move here for the market. Look at the Qs here, 4 days up in a row. Take a look at the VIX coming in really hard here. So getting back below this long-term trend line. Well, I don't think that trend line's that important anymore, but ever since we broke this, we came up here and back tested it, and now we've fallen. This may want to get down to 22. It's got that 100 MA there, but a huge move down in the VIX. Now the market is a little overbought. Let's not sugarcoat it. We definitely had a sell the rumor, buy the news event, but we're up into that 200 moving average with in very little time here. So the market is due for a pullback. Maybe it comes back down to that 432 area, kind of back test this breakout, somewhere in that range, or it could just go sideways here. So and then maybe advance. I still think there's more upside given the nature of the amount of shorts that covered today, and just going through like the social media feeds. It's there's still a lot of people saying like, oh, this is it. This is max upside. It's going down. So I still think there's some fuel for a squeeze, although the options market, the OPEX is now out of the way. So if there's going to be a little bit more of a squeeze, it's going to have to come from the futures and from the ETFs. But either way you slice it, big victory. And the fact the bulls get the SPY above the 50 moving average and get the triple Qs to at least test the 50 moving average, that's really slamming the door shut on any sort of reversal attempt. Now, again, next week doesn't mean we can't pull back, but really, really big victory for the bulls. Take a look at some stocks here. Amazon, look at this surge here, was below 2,700 about a week or two ago, and now closing above 3,200, or poised to close above 3,200. This is into resistance too. There's a lot of things getting into resistance here. Amazon up there, Tesla into that 50-day moving average, but nice little pop there on that breakout. And there's nothing to say this can't get up to 1,000. I think this can get up to 1050. I did some numbers on it last night, and nothing's really changed there. I'm not saying it does get up there, but I could see that based on the calculations. But this is into resistance short term now, so it wouldn't surprise me to pull back to 850, maybe do a 50% retrace of this move. But a nice move here for the market overall. Google, we've been watching this wedge pattern, so that's cracking above that now, getting above the 50 moving average. But again, you got just above here, you got those two, the 200 and 100. So resistance is not far away. And Facebook finally playing catch up here, up almost 4% there, coming off the lows, making a higher high finally. This should get up to that low 220 area. Nvidia with a nice power move today, up 6.5%. Nvidia's been a house this past week here. But again, into resistance here, 100 moving average, and then that's kind of these pivots here. This is where you broke down from. So, it should pull back off that level there. Speaking of semiconductors, let's just flip over to the SMH now. Again, we talked about this wedge pattern, and you know, when you can't make lower lows and lower highs forever, and continue to have these downsloping trend lines on both sides before for very long, essentially. And that's what happened. We went into the Fed, reversed, and now a nice push higher again, 50 and 200 above that. So upside near term is limited. We're going to need to pull back, but a nice move there for the semis. IGV, we talked about this trend line yesterday, not breaking out. It is getting above that now. So again, into the 50 moving average, if it can pull back a little bit, and back test that, then it can probably make an advance there. But nice move there for cloud software as well. Dow Transports kind of having a bit of an inside day, so pausing a little bit. Really, the star of the day today has been tech. It's been tech stocks. It's been some of the beaten down growth plays, Zillow, Zoom. By the way, we just locked in 15.5% on this on Zoom here today. Small position, but when you're buying down at the lows and you're bottom picking like this, you got to manage your portfolio. Again, like I said earlier, this all comes in with portfolio management. And when you have a market that is very turbulent, like it has been the last 6 weeks, you have to be smart about your plays. But we did lock in a gain on this one, Zoom. Nice winner there, 15.5%. But yeah, those beaten down growth plays, the Roku's, even FSLY, Fastly getting a nice bid. Palantir coming nicely off the lows. Roblox, big moves. So some of these tech stocks have just been so beaten down. You're finally getting the shorts to say, okay, like that's enough. We gotta get out of these things. So they are getting a lift, and they are the stars today, as opposed to the transports. And some of the consumer goods names are underperforming a little bit today as well. All right, so let's flip over to yields. Really quiet. 10-year, just kind of an inside day, down 2%, but really an inside day, all things considered. Same thing on the 30-year, a little pullback again. I said yields are overbought. They are. They do need to do a little backing and filling, but nothing wrong with this thrust higher. They just got a little overbought in the short term. High yield here. So we talked about the 20 moving average yesterday. We said that was going to be a big test, and that passed. So it did get back above the 20. Now it did, it closed above the 20 twice here as well. So something to say it can't get rejected. And again, it's overbought. It's into resistance, just like everything else. So what you want to look for is if it pulls back, which it should, does it make a higher low, right? So that's going to tell you whether or not this can, potentially move up to the 50, or maybe, make a run at that 83.50 area. So again, bottom line, if this is holding up, the market's going to hold up. But this is still a major problem, macro speaking. So, we're not going to ignore this, but in the near term, meaning the next 3-4 weeks or so, if this can hold up, the market will be fine. Financials, XLF. Again, a little bit on the weaker side, just up 0.2% here. But again, we talked about this, the star of the day being tech. Into these moving averages, though, financials are under resistance. Broker dealers, nice day into that 200 moving average. Morgan Stanley did have a nice day, but this is kind of where you broke out. So you're kind of back testing that. If you get above that, you've got those triple moving averages up there. So I don't see it getting through that anytime soon, but a nice move today. Bank of America pausing, and JP Morgan showing a little bit of strength. So again, I said this every day the last couple of days, but it looked really bad earlier in the week and got a nice thrust off the lows. So it's holding up okay for now. Energy, really not much to say here. An inside day here on the XLE, just slightly lower here. I will say, though, that with money flowing back into tech and, the market being a little overbought, coming into resistance there on the Qs, coming in resistance there on the spiders, we get a pullback and oil does not really bounce very hard. The XLE will probably pull back in and kind of, it's pretty overbought here. So I'm looking for XLE, these energy stocks and energy in general, to pull back a little bit here, maybe have a little correction. So if the market does pull back and it is in resistance, and this has been underperforming the last couple of days, you would expect this to now make lower lows potentially. So just keep that on your radar. Not saying it necessarily happens, but that could be the bias there. XOP, same deal, flattish, OIH, and same thing there. Crude, I still think has a chance to bounce up to 110, possibly 115, but again, a really quiet day for energy, just a little inside doji, nothing really terrible with it. And the same thing on nat gas, inside doji. But again, nothing wrong. If this starts to flag again, it could, make a move at this high here, maybe 525, 550. Dollar index actually was green with an up market, but it got a technical bounce off the 20 moving average. We'll just kind of leave it alone for now. It's not really anything noteworthy going on. A nice little weekly reversal though, and I talked about that resistance zone up there, so not surprising to see it pull back off of that. Precious metals, again, pretty quiet today. Gold coming back in sharply. Still well above this tail candle low and well above this pivot here. So it's holding on for now. GDX, kind of a doji candle there on the day. Nothing really to speak of. Silver did come in quite a bit, but again, holding these pivots here for now. Platinum and both palladium, really just quiet sessions here overall. Platinum getting rejected at that 20, or palladium getting rejected at that 20 moving average. Copper continuing to bounce. This is starting to get into resistance here. This has almost completed a full retrace rally here. So, nice bounce off the lows. I knew that was going to be a good area there, and I got a short-term buy signal on this. I didn't think it would get that high, but a nice move there off the lows for copper. All right, coins here. This is Ether here starting out. So Ether getting above this wedge pattern. So not a bad look. I like the look that Bitcoin and Ether are giving me into the weekend here. Nice little green pop there. And again, if it can make a higher high, that's a good sign there in the near term. But, just remember there's that weekly inside bar that we have to pay attention to. But in the near term, there's nothing to suggest that this can't go higher. At least test this downsloping trend line. And, if it gets through that, then you'd be looking at 48,000. That would be kind of your max upside for now. But Ether, not a terrible look here. So nice little potential breakout. You could possibly go back up to 3230 or so. If we, get a little bit more momentum. But, nothing really wrong with the coins at the moment. All right, anyways, flipping back over here. Spider's still continuing to bid. Let's take a look at the intraday. Yeah, so just kind of stalling out here. Nothing really going on here. Vol is just getting crushed, by the way. But, yeah, a little pullback, profit taking into the end of the day. Day traders closing out positions. Again, market had a nice move off the lows. We'll give it the upside bias. And then really next week, we're going to look for pattern. Does it give us a pullback pattern? Or, maybe the bears come back viciously and they really slam it down and reverse it. And maybe, if we can't hold these lows, then we're probably in for some trouble. But I would think a back test or a pullback pattern is in order. And we'll see what we get next week if that happens. Anyways, guys, take care. Come follow me on carnivoretrades.com. Just released a course. We're going to be doing a live webinar pretty soon for that. So if you want to get in on that, come check it out. Anyways, guys, and wrap it up here. You take care. Have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you all next week.